Alright guys, and welcome back to another creepy episode on the channel. This week we have got a really interesting one for you. We're going to be actually looking at the true story behind the legendary horror film Nightmare on Elm Street, which is about an evil character named Freddy Krueger. So basically, if there's anyone that hasn't seen this movie, it's essentially about kind of like, I don't know, an evil man who can kill you in your dreams. The whole idea of the movie is the people try not to fall asleep because as soon as you fall asleep, the only way he can get to you is through the dream world.
So, A Nightmare on Elm Street is actually based on a true story, and the director behind it got his inspiration from an LA Times article. The article was actually about a family that survived the killing fields in Cambodia, and they made it back to the USA, but the young boy in the family was still haunted by terrifying nightmares. So the little boy told his parents that when he went to sleep there was this monster that would chase him, and he was convinced that the monster was going to kill him. So he would literally go days without sleep, and it was so bad that he was starting to hallucinate, and he would be really incoherent, which is just so strange how determined he was to not sleep, because when you're a kid you have a scary dream and you're like, oh, I'm not going to sleep. But then you literally would fall asleep like an hour later. But the fact that he was up for literally days, he was so scared of falling asleep, it was just really scary for him.
Alright guys, so this is where the story gets just crazy and messed up in every way. Basically, the kid actually ended up falling asleep in the end, so the parents were obviously like really happy. Anyway, later that night, they awoke to that very same boy, their child, screaming. So they ran into the room, but by the time they got to the room, the boy was actually dead. So I don't know about you guys, but that to me is completely crazy, because one minute he's screaming, like being like woken up and screaming, and then he's just dead. I don't know, was it the nightmare or was it something else entirely? But that is the actual very incident that inspired the director in this movie.
So after doing a bit more research, this is not by a long way the only occurrence of people dying in their sleep from nightmares. There's literally been hundreds of cases, and it's completely insane when we get into it. Okay, so most of the cases occurred between the mid-1970s to the mid-80s, and it was all from the same period of time and from the same area. So during this time it was almost like some kind of epidemic had taken over. There was over 100 male immigrants from Vietnam and Cambodia that died in their sleep during this time.
So what's crazy, guys, it wasn't like these young men were like just ill. They were completely healthy, and they literally did not know what was wrong with them. They were just basically dying in their sleep. But what is the reoccurring theme is they were all having terrible, terrible nightmares and would purposely avoid falling asleep. So what is crazy here as well, guys, is that medical professionals were actually left stunned at these cases. So the medical experts actually called this sudden unexpected nocturnal death syndrome.
So 98% of these deaths would occur between 10 PM at night and 8 AM in the morning. And what's terrifying is literally everyone that this happened to would have complained about nightmares before it happened. So it was like a significant impact on their life that they would complain about scary dreams before they died.
Okay, so this is the point of the story which actually kind of blows my mind, because it completely relates back to the film Nightmare on Elm Street. All of these men that were having these nightmares would see the exact same figure. And basically, guys, that figure was a man with a burnt face. Literally exactly like Freddy Krueger in the movies. So basically how the story goes, guys, is apparently this figure that all these men were seeing would basically kind of sit on their chests and basically say that he was going to kill them. So an argument for it is you could say it was probably sleep paralysis, but for the exact same dream and the exact same burnt face figure to appear in every single one of those guys' dreams, I don't know. I don't think that's really possible.
So a lot of the refugees would actually travel on the same boat back to America, and during their time on that boat, a lot of them would have this dream, like the same night at the same time, and then they'd all just wake up like screaming, and they'd talk to each other and be like, we had the same dream. Like, that never happens. And the fact that it's the same terrifying dream as well, I can't wrap my head around it at all.
So it actually got to the point that these dreams were becoming so familiar between everyone that they were actually getting news that these people were actually dying from these dreams, supposedly. So the other guys would become so paranoid that they would actually set alarms that would go off throughout the night, just so that, like, they were that scared of falling asleep that they would set like constant alarms.
So after these deaths became almost like infamous, a lot of scientists and investigators were looking into it. They came to the conclusion that there was no scientific evidence that could link the content of their dreams to their deaths, which to me makes it even scarier, because it's the fact that they're not just having like a heart attack from a really scary dream or something. There's no link between the dream and the death, but everyone's having the same dream and everyone's dying, but it's not caused by the dream. So what is it caused by? It is almost like some kind of curse that's been put on these people.
This has been such a weird case of deaths that scientists have almost said that it is kind of like borderline supernatural, basically because they just can't seem to explain why these people are dying in their sleep.
So that's the true story behind A Nightmare on Elm Street. Honestly, it's probably the craziest true story behind a horror film that I've ever seen. It's just so scary. Like, you have a nightmare and you think you're safe when you wake up, but the fact that people are actually dying from dreams in real life is the scariest thing I could literally think of.
So anyway guys, thank you so much for watching another video. Thank you so much for the support. Just to let you guys know, we've got an awesome paranormal investigation coming out at the end of this month. Probably be 2 parts, won't it?
Yeah.
And it is indeed the most haunted hotel in the UK. As well as that, guys, we're also going to be trying to do more like actual hands-on, getting out there paranormal investigations.
Yeah.
But we will still be doing sort of creepy story times and the urban legend series as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep up to date with that, I hate to push this as well, please follow our Instagram, because that really is the best place to see what's sort of going on. And we will see you in the next creepy video.